Before I introduce the day's speaker, I would like to talk a few words about my wife Malathi Venkatesan, who was a warrior against the kidney disease for 23 years. She was an ordinary homemaker, but she was diagnosed with CKD, the chronic kidney disease, in 1993. And then we came down to Chennai to be under the care of Dr. Georgie Abraham at the time, who had just returned from Canada at the time. But what happened was, actually she had to go through a lot of issues, lot of problems in the initial stages before she had a transplant in 1995. And the transplant, very fortunately, survived for 13 years. I'm sorry, 18 years. 18 years he survived till 2013. And the kidney failed, and she had a lot of problem for next 3 years, and she passed away 4 years ago. But more important than that, I thought the reason why she had to undergo and became a warrior against the disease was, I personally feel God chose her to be an instrument to fight against the disease and also bring succor to several patients actually. That opened the door for her, and she was one of the initial founding trustees along with me, along with Georgie Abraham and Lata Kumarasamy in 1993 when this kidney foundation was started. And she put in lot of efforts at the side of the patients. She looked after the patients, she knew every patient personally, and she knew their emotional problem because she herself suffered as a patient. Therefore, she knew everybody very personally. Not only that, she used to, what I would say, take care of their personal needs and also the education needs of the children and various things like that. Therefore, I personally feel the one way she had to go through a lot of struggle, etc., she brought forth as an ordinary homemaker some extraordinary qualities in fighting the disease and showing compassion and care for the patients. Even on the day she died, she was drafting and sending a letter to the then Chief Minister for allotting a land for the own use of TANKER Foundation. So till the last minute, she worked for that thing. Therefore, this is the background, and this is in memory and on honor this lecture is being organized every year. The warrior was lost, but the battle continues. Mrs. Vasundhara Raghavan is on a mission with no time to spare. Having been on a tryst with chronic kidney disease for over 2 decades now, Vasundhara Raghavan solemnly vows to make a difference to the lives of those suffering. An unbeatable woman of steel, Vasundhara has had a personal rendezvous with the disease when her younger son Aditya, of just 15 years of age, was detected too late of a congenital condition. She donated her kidney to her son, who is now 38 years old and doing well. Vasundhara took premature retirement as Secretary General from Media Research Users Council in 2005 and moved to live in Dubai with her husband. She began work on her first book, Shades of Life, Sublime Joy is in Living, which got published in 2010. From 2013, she has been active on Facebook and started a group, Reflex Kidney. In 2014, she opened the Facebook group, The Kidney Warriors, which is now part of the Kidney Warriors Foundation, formed in December 2017. 4 books since been published or being sold on Amazon. The Kidney Warriors Foundation began pre-formation work with the education event in Pune. Thereafter, she had programs in Delhi and Kolkata. Her group as associate work in Hyderabad, Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Rajasthan. But more about her work, more about her battle against the kidney disease, we would like to hear from her. I just want to turn it over to Mr. Vasundhara Raghavan. Thank you.
Great honor for a very simple person like me to be invited by TANKER Foundation. Thank you very much, Dr. Georgie, and Lata also, who has taken a lot of trouble in contacting me and getting this organized today. Well, what does Kidney Warriors Foundation do is something that people would like to know, because we don't have funds. We have nothing big planned for anyone. But we do small things for patients to help them lead a decent life, whether on dialysis or on transplant. We are simply motivating them to continue to manage their disease at whatever stage it is. On dialysis, we are very particular on their diet. So we brought out a book, The Nutritional Secrets, which is now being printed and sold. And then it's not on Amazon. It has to be, the order has to be placed with us. And then the other books are there on Amazon. What is our motive is to only see that we facilitate patients to manage their disease, and we are in touch with the government to get some benefits for them, which we hope will transpire and translate into something very useful for them and make them feel that they are not part of a deprived society. They are not part of a society where nobody has looked at them and understood their problems. The problems of CKD is handled by the nephrologist very well, but there is a social aspect to it, because as soon as a patient who gets the verdict that your kidneys have failed, he leaves the cabin of the doctor, the tension of the disease weighs very heavily, because it has got financial implications, it has got implications of the future. Sometimes it's got to do with children who stop their education, and sometimes it's with people who leave their jobs voluntarily thinking that the disease is too large and it cannot be battled. So through the Kidney Warriors book, we have tried to motivate people to see that they know that people have survived on dialysis, people live very happily with kidney transplant, and people who have not had a transplant are managing with the disease with the diet. So we have looked at 3 sections, trying to motivate them through books and education series that we are trying to do across India. We have done in Pune, we have done in Delhi, we have done in Kolkata, we have done in Ernakulam. We are going to do in Chandigarh in February. So through these educational series, the patient gets information about the disease. They are having the first-hand information from the doctors, and they also realize that there are many other people with a similar circumstance. So there is something to feel happy that, oh, there is another person who's also going through the same experience. Same questions everyone has got. I have forgotten my medicine. Can I have it now? I missed my dosage once. These are the questions which will always be there and which will be always playing in their mind. So these questions get answered through these educational series. What do the patients need? So we've asked the question on the Facebook group, and people answered that we need good dialysis. The priority was good dialysis as compared to economic dialysis. So out of 187 people who responded to this, 93 said we want good dialysis. 58 said we wanted a job. 52 want insurance. This is with age group, these respondents are from the age group 25 to 44 years. And we have 46 people unmarried in this age group, out of which 27% belong to age group 30 to 40, which is a very significant percentage of unmarried male and female. The desperation to get marriage is very high because they need some support during the time that they go through the disease. They need it post-transplant. They feel that, well, I'm post-transplant, I don't have a job. I'm supposed to have a job, I'm normal. And during dialysis, the dichotomy is they are on dialysis spending so much money and they don't have money to pay for their dialysis. There is huge amount of depression And we are trying to counsel them. So what is our role? What is Kidney Warriors Foundation doing on Facebook? This is our role, to ensure that they are continuing to smile through their birthdays, through their anniversaries, through their issues, through their problems. We try to walk through them, walk with them to see whether they can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Towards that, we need a lot of support from the society, where people should be happy to keep them on jobs. So employment has to increase, special arrangement for people on dialysis with flexi timings, and maybe with a reduction in salary, but to keep them employed. Being employed also gives them a power of feeling independent and being purposeful for the society. In the family, very often, if a person is unemployed and on dialysis, they tend to be neglected. They tend to feel that people tend to feel that they are a burden to them. It is not obvious, but it is expected. We can't tell people that, listen, you must behave yourself. But society can address this issue through making certain employment opportunities for them. We are writing to the government to get waiver of GST on medicines so that they can get medicines at a lower cost. We are writing to the government to see whether they can get some economical dialysis, in fact, we are asking the government to help us to improve the quality of dialysis with getting the RO plants subsidized across all the centers. It has to be a mandatory thing that all centers should have an RO plant, which will be subsidized by the government, so we get good quality dialysis. So we get pure water for dialysis. The other thing we have asked, we want to do is actually conduct training programs for dialysis technicians so that they are more sensitive to the patient's requirements during dialysis. We find that we got a complaint from Tamil Nadu, a son messaged me saying that my father is facing a lot of trouble on dialysis. People are treating him very badly at the center. And I felt that if Tamil Nadu, which is the leader in the kidney, in nephrology, if we can get a message from Tamil Nadu, why not from Delhi? Why not from any other center? With disease growing, more centers are being opened at district levels by the government. But we need to have good technicians with good understanding of the physiology of the patient, of the human body, and to understand the mental capacity of the patient to take so much of insensitive behavior from the technician. Technicians may have less time, but if they are made to understand that there is a human angle to this disease where patients need better care, then unless they are told and they have sensitized that, I don't think we can get a good quality dialysis for the patients. Because patients are finally the customers to all the dialysis centers. Their customer is supposed to be the king, and we need to give them a better treatment. So these are the aspects that Kidney Warriors is doing at the moment. We're going to come out with a dialysis book like the nutrition book that we came out. The nutrition book has been acclaimed by all centers, by all the doctors, and got one copy for Dr. Georgie also. So maybe in Tamil Nadu we can get it translated so more people can get access to it. So this is part of our vision, and we need to do much more. We will be growing. We are aiming to become like the Cancer Society of India. We are going to draw up a panel of doctors who will join us, and we'll take the country forward. But for all nephrologists, there's a message that we need to take nephrology as the one specialty that will lead all medical specialties in India, because the patient is more dependent on the nephrologist, and there are few nephrologists. 1,200 nephrologists for so many lakhs of patients is just not a very good number. Unless we have more transplants I don't see more medical students joining the nephrology course because the renal transplant is the one main attraction for any doctor, because dialysis is a desperation. People don't feel happy on dialysis, but taking the patients to a transplant is a big jump for a patient. It's a good career growth for the doctor because he improves his skills. And more young men or women can join this stream of medicine. I hope that this message can be translated and we can all join hands together to see that we make our country the leader in nephrology, bringing zero dialysis, zero infection dialysis to the country by 2030 at least. Just as we have 0 by 25 for AKI, we need to work on something like this for the dialysis-free infection. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and we hope society will take some honest steps to give patients a better better environment, give them more encouragement to manage their disease, and also see whether financially, if someone approaches you, you can help them, or also donating an organ. I have a small presentation here, very small. So this is the Kidney Warriors. The book and the group name is the Kidney Warriors, but we formed the Kidney Warriors Foundation. This is the founders, the state coordinators that we have. We have Assam, we have Tamil Nadu, we have Delhi, we have Punjab, we have Kerala, that is Anjali Uttup, Usha Uttup's daughter. Then we have Maharashtra, we have Rajasthan, we have Himachal Pradesh, we have Telangana, we have Karnataka, that's me, Maharashtra. Then Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, and which is that? Jharkhand. So these are the centers that we have our founders in. And we'll be slowly expanding. Orissa, Jharkhand and all that, we would like to do work, but we don't see much of the nephrology, renal, dialysis centers there where we can start work. But on the technician training, we will be starting very soon. These are the 3 books. I've written another book, Who Lives, Who Dies, which is internationally available in the US, on Amazon, of course, but it's very highly priced because of the color, because it's a book in color. It has a story of a patient who has been on dialysis for 49 years in Germany. And his story is very remarkable because he shows all the machines that were there in so many years back, and it's lovely to read. But the Kidney Warriors and all 3 books are human stories. There's not much medical. The medical is only by the doctors. The others are only the human part of the story, where we're talking about divorce, we're talking about people being losing jobs, and how they have managed to overcome their problems. This is a book which is the very good book because the nutrition has been done by the patients. We've got extraordinary flow charts here which explain how the role that protein plays, fats play, and what is how carbohydrate and protein are both equally important for the kidney patient's diet. Because generally what happens is they don't take enough carbohydrates or enough protein, and they have a lot of protein wasting. This is one slide that I just made. How about a normal person? What are the pressures that he faces in society? Gender bias, loss of confidence, unemployment, divorce, and financial crunch. And this is the kidney patient, how he is burdened with all the extra things like medical cost, physical constraint, transplant medicines, no insurance, and he has other uncertainties that the normal man has. So he has to carry a lot more load, And if we can understand this part of the aspect of the kidney patient, we have reached our, we've come to some good conclusion about his life. Thank you.
Yeah, she would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
A kidney donor to your son.
Yes, sir.
How do you feel about that, psychologically, physically, as well as you are spreading the news about kidney disease, all over the place?
See, what has happened is my life changed totally. The fact that I could have detected his kidney disease, he was bedwetting and we had gone to urologist and we were told that 4-5 years later he will outgrow it. And 4-5 years later when I met Dr. Gandhi, he said, if you had come 4-5 years earlier, we would have sorted it for you. Maybe it could have saved. And that guilt has kept me active in this area because I feel that that's why my first book, Shades of Life, came out, totally on his story. My cousin is here, Shekhar Swami. He told me, if you save one life, this book is worth it. So don't worry about the cost of the book, whether it sells or doesn't sell. So that is how we did that book. But as a donor, the first thing that I think we need to make more awareness on, how the donor has to take care. Drinking water is more important for a donor as much as the recipient. How they have to avoid the NSAIDs. These two aspects, and of course take diet, ensure that you don't get into problems of another kidney failure. So that is the only thing I think I can say.
Could you tell us a little bit more about how you put together these stories for Kidney Warriors and what was that experience like?
In US. And so I was working on that, and then I had interviewed some few Indian families. And then when I started the Facebook group, I had so many people who were actually telling their stories. So I said, oh, why not I take their stories? So I immediately published the Kidney Warriors. It took me a lot of time because I had to edit each story, write it. And not all stories can be remarkably motivating. Some of them didn't have much of a story. But we had a volunteer who was parting with the story, so I had to include all the stories. So that's how it came up.
Yeah, I have respected Professor Dr. Nandita from Northeast, from Guwahati, who is one of the awardees today. I just want her to talk about, we live so many 1,000 miles away from Asa. So what are the steps being taken by her as a senior nephrologist and as an academician of par excellence?
Country. Development-wise also, it is quite late compared to the other parts. When Chennai was a metro city, our Guwahati was a very diabetic nephropathy, how a hypertensive patient can develop kidney failure and all that. Then diseases, small children developing acute nephritis was very prevalent in those days. Children coming with very high blood pressure, swelling in the face, blood in the urine, things like that. So those, there was no knowledge. The parents didn't know, even the physicians didn't know. Or even if they knew, it was very little knowledge. So that way actually, I can tell you story of one of my patients. He came to me around, say, 6-7 years with full-blown nephrotic. So in those days, I just put him on steroid. He responded promptly within 15 to 20 days. His all edema is gone. The parents are very happy. Went back home. I said, you continue the study with the child. And then he was asking about the diet. So we don't restrict any diet for the children. So let them have normal diet. Only thing that you restrict salt. Don't give lot of salt. So he went home. Then he comes back to me, say every 3 months, 4 months with relapse. So we had to continue steroid for a long time. Then there was a gap of about 6-7 years. He continued his study. And he completed his school final. He completed being that he wanted to study medicine. But then the board didn't allow him to join medicine. He was very much depressed and upset. So I had to console him. Said, no, see, don't worry, this is not the end of the world. you study general line and you become an IAS. I inspired him to become an IAS. So he went to Delhi. He studied in a good college in Delhi, made his master degree from there, and then he got a very good job. And in between, I think after his matriculation, he developed kidney failure. So I had to dialyze him. Then I encouraged the parents to do his kidney transplant. So I sent him to Hyderabad. Dr. Saharia was there. So Saharia, mother donated the kidney, and Saharia did a transplant on him. He came back. Then he went to Delhi to study. And then he got a good central government job. He married. He had a child also. And finally, he's, I think about 15, 16 years of transplant, normal good transplant, he developed gradually failure of his transplanted kidney. There are not good medicines also in those days for the transplant patients. We just used to give them steroid and azoran. That's all.
Doctor, sorry to...
And yes, we have an Assam coordinator, Chandralekha Das. She is in Silchar. So I'll ask her to come and see you, and we will do a program there to connect with patients there in Guwahati. In fact, I think there was a transplant there in Guwahati recently.
We have one final question that we would like to take from here. So if you...
May I ask you,
It's on.
is there a very restrictive legal infrastructure in India about kidney donations and particularly about cadaver transplants? Did I make myself clear? Do we have
No, I didn't understand what you said.
Did we have a very restrictive legal
Yes,
framework?
that's why I mentioned about young people taking nephrology. What is the attraction do they have? If you don't have transplants, we have transplants so few in a year. We may be second after US. That doesn't concern. I mean, I think I'm not concerned with that, where we rank. But it's more important for our patients to be saved. Many people are just dying because they are not getting transplant. And people who come forward, the people who want to be a prospective donor, if that person has to go through so much interrogation process, it's very disheartening. I mean, I want to actually donate. Should I donate or not? What is this? The illegal transplant and trade and everything is really bothering us. And we don't get enough relief from patients, because patients are actually asking, begging, Madam, can you help us with some donor? And I have to say, we don't do that business because we can't give funds. See, our problem is Kidney Warriors Foundation, we can't give funds. We don't have funds. We used to give 5,000 here, 5,000 there, 10,000 here. We used to help people with fistula, 15,000. It's nothing because the cost of fistula is so much more. One patient tells me for 10 years I'm doing dialysis, 21 lakhs I have spent. This is nothing to do with the cardiac problem I had, nothing to do with the fistula cost. So these are the costs people are dealing with. How can a common man deal with so much? If a transplant can be done, at least that much money can be saved and there's a normal life. But our laws are so strict and restrictive, and I've requested the government to make us a party to the people should actually be part of the table where this discussion is happening. What are the rules for transplant? Because unless we are going to be part of that decision making, it's not going to help. Even for dialysis, we need lots of facilities. And for transplant, of course, this is one thing. Today I met the Star Insurance. They'll be contacting you, Dr. Georgie, because they need some information by which they can make a package for CKD, so that all CKD patients can avail of insurance. So these are the type of help that society can give us. We are looking at transplant laws. We want it to be changed, but I don't know, that's the biggest problem we'll have, biggest hurdle to cross, but we want to get the other things sorted in the meantime. The financial aspects at least can be taken care of. And the laws, of course, we need people to call us for the meeting where we can also put our thoughts. Because the way the transplant laws are being made is made by someone else on our benefit, and they don't know what we want. It's like saying that I'll serve you idli when I want dosa. So, it's not as simple as that, but for transplant, it's very, very difficult and very complicated, and people are simply dying. So we have to relook at all this. The laws for transplant, improvement on dialysis is very important so that people on dialysis can be having little happy time in dialysis. Just enjoy their dialysis and come back home. Let's hope that's...
Thank you. We've crossed a number of hurdles already. I'm sure we'll cross this one too.